Howdy, fellow football fans, and welcome back to another edition of Far Out Football Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, I am your host, Evan Davies. Now, today we are doing our Week 5 preview. We've got all of our picks done ahead of time to share with you. We have today's new segment, which is called Quarter Life Crisis, as we're going to be playing. That's going to be our game for the day, and a few programming notes and news up on. Before we do anything, I want to give you that programming update. We've been doing Monday reaction shows and Thursday preview shows. Frankly, I bit off more than I could chew. So we're going to scale it back to just going back to Thursdays for the moment. It's been taking a little bit of the joy out of football, and if you're not enjoying it, it's not as much as... It's not the thing to look forward to as much anymore. So we're going to scale that back for now. We're going to see if we ever go back to that method. We're going to fill that in with some new content and other ways on PTA Creative's channel. But for now, we're going to go just our Thursday preview shows for now and news and notes. We might have some special stuff if anything comes up, but we'll see. But that is our programming update. All right, thank you for listening to that programming note. We're going to jump into Thursday Night Football. Then we're going to go to this week's game, and then we'll do our final game previews after that with some little news as well. Thursday Night Football, we got Tampa Bay going to Atlanta tonight. And Atlanta's favored by 1.5, which makes no sense to me. I'm not understanding that one. I'm picking upset for Tampa. Here's my big thing. Atlanta hasn't played complete games yet. They've eked games out with weird moments, but you're seeing interior pressure still getting to Kirk Cousins. You're still seeing issues with cohesion on the offensive line. Those are the kind of games Tampa thrives on, is they find minor weaknesses or flaws in your team's approach, and they exploit them. That's what they did to Philly. That's what they did to Detroit. They took advantage of those opportunities. That's what Tampa does. This is a tailor-made game for Tampa to win. I know it's in Atlanta and everyone's trying to still give this big Atlanta hope. I don't understand it. I'm picking Tampa Bay here. Point spread is also, it's 1.5, so it's not as if I would still take the points. I don't think it's going to be last minute 1 point. I think it's going to be at least a field goal plus kind of game. Tampa's playing way too consistently for me to think that they're not going to. Also, you've seen Tampa, their biggest issue is allowing pressure on Baker Mayfield. Atlanta's defense, that's not their strength. Atlanta's defensive strength is on their back half. Okay? But when Baker Mayfield has time, the back half can be not neutralized, but the dependency of it can go down because with time, receivers are going to get up. It's just the nature of football. So I'm seeing Tampa here. Whereas Vita Vea and the Tampa Bay defense is good at tailor-making problems for Atlanta. They don't want to rush the ball consistently. Kirk Cousins is out of whack in terms of being consistently going downfield in moments. There's no cohesion yet. That's a Tampa plus all day long. I'm picking Tampa in that. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun to watch. I'm excited to actually watch Thursday Night Football. The last couple I've been like, I'll throw it on, but I'll be doing something else as well. I watch it for the pod, but not crazy about it. This is one I'm actually excited to watch. We'll see how it goes. We'll enjoy it. We're going to send you a quick break. After that will be the game, Quarter Life Crisis, and then we'll be going to our game picks previews. Stay tuned. I hear you guys are really liking PT Creative's content. And you know what? You should, because it's pretty rad. You may even want to support the channel even more. Well, there's a way you can do it and reward yourself. And that's by going to our Etsy shop. Head on over to PTE Creative's Etsy shop and you can find all kinds of cool merch like you see on screen. You may be watching some of our Pokemon themed content and going, I'd love some merch there. You can do that. You can even get our custom Fakemon stickers right there, or stickers of existing Pokemon, t-shirts, or mystery packs. But you may be saying, I don't know if Pokemon's maybe my vibe. You know what? That's fine, because we have all kinds of fun, snarky millennial content and sports-related things over at the Etsy shop as well. You maybe got some big bench warmer energy that you just got to spread with the world. Or maybe you just need to tell people that you hope both teams are having fun as they're playing, because it's just all about vibes to you, and you hate to see it. You'd hate to see it if you didn't get your merch. You can go get that merch right here, right now. Head on over to Etsy. Go to etsy.com/shop/PTE Creative and go get yourself some awesome merch and go support a local content creator in this community we call the internet. Hope y'all see some great merch coming soon from Etsy. Go to PT Creative on Etsy and get yourself some great merch. No! Alright, so today we're going to be playing a game called Quarter Life Crisis, as we already announced. Thank you for listening to the message. In Quarter Life Crisis, when you think about people in a life crisis, there's a spectrum. It's not as easy as, oh, well, they're having a crisis, they're having a crisis, their crises are the same. That's not really what the case is. So you can see the 5 categories up on the screen. Number 1 is panic. The panic category means you need to do something immediately, otherwise life's going to suck. Okay? Second is time to get moving, which means you know you have a problem, you're not at the panic point, but you need to start getting it fixed to really operate. Our middle tier is mull it over. You know that things could get better, but you've implemented some changes, want to see where those go before you immediately hit that panic button and completely change things. Then you have the proactive category. That's a great category to be in where you already know things are being successful, but you want to be a little bit proactive to see how we could change to make things even better. You know, prepare for the future, if you will. Finally, you have sitting pretty. You've done everything you possibly can to be successful. You just need to keep executing your plan to do so. Those are the 5 categories that we have. We're going to be doing 2 teams in each category. We're going to be using Tier Maker as per usual to give you a little bit of visual representation on the show. And then we're going to have a little bit different style back at predictions. So let's start with our game. We're going to start in the panic category. Now, one that might seem a little bit unconventional, but I think it's time for panic. It's the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's my thing with the Bengals. Offensively, they're now starting to put up points, but they still struggled against Carolina. It wasn't like they were world beaters. Joe Burrow honestly didn't look as good as people want to make it out to be. And I know I'm sounding very much like a Joe Burrow hater at this point. I'm now officially on the bandwagon as with our boy Brandon from a couple shows ago in the fact that Joe Burrow is an overrated quarterback. I'm of that opinion now. I don't think he's trash, but people believing he's the second coming for quarterbacks, I think, utterly insane. Burrow is not looking as great as people are making out to be, but they're scoring points because Jamar Chase is coming to life. T. Higgins is coming to life. Their skill position players are coming to life. A fourth of Joe Burrow's yards last week were on one play that Jamar Chase made. Not Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase made. So, offensively, that's great, but they're still allowing way too much pressure on Joe Burrow to allow him to succeed and do what he's very good at, which is accurate passes downfield, get the ball into his. Plus, they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. You need to hit the panic button and make some changes. You need to go make a trade for a good player or two, whatever you can do. Go look at some free agency pickups, whoever may be available out in the streets that can maybe give you a little bit better depth than you have right now. Because right now in Cincinnati, outside of Trey Henderson, pretty much everything on their defense is failing. You need to hit the panic button if you want to succeed. You're 1-3. The only thing that's benefiting Cincinnati right now is that the best team in their league, in their division by many people's standards is 2-2. But they finally figured it out. And you still have Pittsburgh at 3-1. So you're 2 games back from the division leader. You're a game back from the team who's probably the best in your division. And Cleveland still has a defense that can fuck you up from time. So you got to think about that. Cincinnati's officially in the panic category. We're going to move on to time to get moving. Like I said, it's time to start implementing some things so you don't have to hit the panic button. Time to get moving. I'm going to go into New England here for this one. Might seem as simple. A lot of people would say panic move. New England's not expecting to win a championship this year. They know it's a rebuilding year. There's a reason Jacoby Brissett is still playing and Drake is still on the bench to protect Drake. What you need to do in times of, for me, why I say time to get moving, you need to make the decision. Are you going to put Drake May in bubble wrap? Or are you going to let him play? I don't think it's the best option for him to play. Your offensive line is the most porous in the NFL. You're now showing what myself and a lot of people predicted, is that you're extremely talent poor on the offensive side of the ball, specifically on the offensive line, so you can't protect your quarterback. There's a reason Jacoby Brissett is just getting mauled play after play after play, getting pressured all the time. You don't have an offensive line. Your defense is doing well, so you need to make the decision of, are we going to go try to trade for a player, try to go make a deal, or are we just going to and put the kid in, or are we just going to accept our fate? Do it. My option, my opinion, you take the option that you accept your fate, you lose as many games as you can with Jacoby Brissett. Hopefully you build some character with your team. You see, you evaluate your roster the best you possibly can. See who's still really playing and who really quits on the team. It's hard to play in those games at the end. And you don't let the kid play unless you absolutely have to. If Brissett gets hurt, then you play May. But if Brissett can play, keep Jake Brisket in the lineup, because you don't want your young quarterback, who's supposed to be the future of your franchise, being destroyed play in and play out. You see how that happens. You look how that ruined David Carr's career, Sam Darnold early on, so many other quarterbacks that looked like they had some talent and then just were mauled. Bryce Young is a perfect example right now. Bryce Young refused to push the ball down the field to the point where they had to bench him. Part of that was he just always felt pressured. Part of that's Bryce's fault, and I give you that. But part of that is he always felt pressured, so he just get the ball out as quick as possible short. It's not going to benefit anyone. You got to think that over. It's time to get moving. Decisions. We're going to go to mullet over. A team that is really in the middle ground right now, and I'm going to go to Atlanta for mullet over. Here's why I say mullet. You've implemented a plan in which Kirk Cousins is going to lead this team in the interim until Michael Penix Jr. is over. This is not a Michael Penix Jr. takes over plan. I don't agree with that plan. I think that's a stupid plan. I don't know why they drafted Michael Penix in general, especially at the spot that they. What I'm saying mullet over is this, is you've implemented the plan and you're starting to see pieces pop up here and there that are good. But you're still not having an effective Bijan Robinson. I would know as a Bijan Robinson fantasy provider right now. He is disappointing every single week, and a lot of carries are going to Tyler Algier and company. And you're not allowing that playmaker. Drake London is inconsistently used. Kyle Pitts is inconsistently used. Darnell Mooney, half the time, is the most consistently used receiver on that team right now. Highly problematic. It's not what you want when you're paying your first round picks for 3 consecutive years at the skill position players. You want to use those, utilize their talent. So you need to implement that plan. Defensively, you're coming to life. Stay the course. You got to figure it out. So you got to mull it over on offense and just see, okay, we've implemented the plan. We got to see if it's going to work. A couple weeks from now, if you're still seeing the same results where you're losing close games and in these games, but you're not in the games, and it's a whole weird situation that Atlanta's found themselves in, then it's time to get moving or panic button. Right now, mull it over, see what you can do. Then we have the proactive category. One of the hottest teams in the league right now, Washington. I think you'd be proactive. First and foremost, your passing attack is phenomenal right now. Your rushing attack's doing really well. Your defense, and offensively, Jaden Daniels is being protected, but it could get better. What I am suggesting here for Washington is you need to be proactive. Start implementing some more professional run concepts and a few more passing concepts into the offense to allow Jaden Daniels to not have to be in the line of fire. He's doing incredibly well, better than anyone could have predicted. So you already know you're succeeding at a high level there. Your defense is problematic. So your biggest things, if you be proactive, you're 3-1, beating the division. You look like you could really win the division, especially the state Philadelphia, Dallas are in. You can win this division now. Be proactive. Go get a playmaker on defense, or you get involved in that Davante Adams conversation a little bit and really take your team over the top. So it doesn't have to be Jaden Daniels' athleticism, then to receivers. Maybe it could be Jaden Daniels' passer to playmakers. We could see how that would work. Be proactive, figure out your needs, and go forward. But Washington, you're doing great. And finally, another sitting pretty. Baltimore. 2 weeks ago, they would not be at sitting pretty. Here's the issue, though. The entire time, it was, where's your rushing attack? Where's your rushing attack? Where's your rushing attack? Your defense wasn't coming together. Defensively, you're coming together. Roquan Smith is really leading the charge on that defense. Your secondary is playing a little bit better, a little bit more cohesively. That's really important. Most importantly, you figured out your offensive attack. It needs to be Derrick Henry first, Lamar Jackson second on the rushing attack, and allow people to play in the box to open up those passing lanes so Lamar doesn't have to scramble. You're doing everything right in Baltimore. Everything is doing well. Maybe close a game a little bit better. That'd be the only critique I have. But you're sitting pretty. Take care of your problems. With the team you have right now, you can go beat Pittsburgh. You can go beat Cincinnati. Easily take care of your division and get yourself into the AFC Championship game picture again to take on Kansas City. You almost beat, literally, by this much. So, you're sitting pretty in Baltimore. Take advantage. We'll go back to panic and we'll work our way up to sitting pretty. Another team I feel needs to panic is Cleveland. It's odd to see the AFC North so represented, but it's time to push the button. It's time to move on from Deshaun Watson. You're getting Nick Chubb back hopefully in the next week or two. That could be a real boon, but your offensive line is still problematic. There's already talk of Amari Cooper being sold off for draft picks a couple weeks from now because everyone just assumes you're dead in the water. If everyone assumes you're dead in the water because your play reflects that, to figure it out, to fix that, right? So, if you want to get to the point where you're not in the panic position, you've got to hit the button to get out of it. It's time to change the quarterback. It's so obvious that that's the problem. Get Jameis Winston in there. He's at least a little bit more effective. Do it. And you can see if this team could make a run towards the playoffs as opposed to, oh, yeah, well, we wasted another season, which probably means Deshaun Watson may be gone. Or if you still feel you can't get out of that Deshaun Watson contract, Kevin Stefanski might be gone because of the decisions you made. Andrew Berry might be gone. Really good members of your front office that built your team into at least a consistent player. They might be gone because you have to make a move. And that's not where you want to be. That's why they're in panic. Moving up to time to get moving. You know the New York Giants. We're seeing the Giants defensively. They're playing pretty damn well. They're getting to the quarterback. They're exerting pressure onto other teams. Thibodeau, Burns, Lawrence, they're doing a really good job up front. They're keeping them in games. You're not seeing the Giants get blown out. Not consistently. I know week one, they looked like they were getting blown out for a while, but they're not really getting blown out here. They're playing competitive football. So you need to start figuring out the plan you have in place. Everyone's going to say, oh, Daniel Jones, the plan is to get through Daniel Jones this year. I don't know if you can. It's just time to get moving on. You need to figure out what's going to take you over the hump to get you in the end zone. Instead of kicking field goals and losing games 20-15 against depleted teams, what's going to get you to the point where you can go, we're going to win 24-17 instead of 15-20. Or we can keep them out of the end zone. We can get in the end zone at least once, if not twice, to really give ourselves a chance to win. That's what you need to start focusing on. That's why it's time to get moving in New York. Figure out what your problems really are. And if Daniel Jones might be that problem, you got to start moving on. Now, to mull it over, here's one for thought. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. You think a team that's 4-0 wouldn't have that many issues, but they have a ton of issues right now. A lot of injury-related stuff. You lose Pacheco, you lose Rashee Rice, don't have Hollywood Brown. Those were your options, right? It's time to mull over the decision-making of offensively, what do we want? Defensively, you are playing the best football you possibly can. Don't change anything on defense. That's why they've implemented plan, execute. They need to mull over to see, Xavier Worthy going to be the guy to elevate this team a little bit more, and are we going to get Travis Kelce a little bit more involved? Last week was good, but you need to still figure it out to do that. If that isn't going to work and you've mulled it over for a couple of weeks, it's time to get involved in potentially the Davante Adams conversation, which I know would be very unlikely due to the trade partner, but make them an offer they can't refuse, and maybe you got it. You're going for history. You're trying to be the first team in the Super Bowl era with a three-peat of all Super Bowls. Repeats have happened. Lombardi's Packers did. Just saying. But they did NFL Championship and then the first two Super Bowls. So no one's done in a full Super Bowl era the three-peat. Going for history here. You need to take advantage and take the chance. Not mull it over, your receiving core is going to go. Maybe that's where you get involved in a Tyreek Hill conversation, which would be wild. Maybe you get involved in the Cooper conversation with Cleveland. Who knows? But you got to mull over what you're doing on offense and figure out your plan a little bit. Proactive category. We're going to Houston. Houston's playing really well, and they haven't really played a complete game, which is wild to think about. So, my big thing here with Houston is this. My big thing here with Houston is simple. You haven't played your complete game yet, and you're still winning games and looking effective, and CJ Stroud's doing. But you're seeing pressure, and blitz pickup is starting to be somewhat of an issue for him, in that if you can disguise some coverages a little bit more, he's not used to that yet. He's not responding as well to that. But you're seeing offensively, you're still moving the ball, you're doing really well. But you need to fix those issues and be more proactive. So you need to do far more of plays to garner the idea of blitz pickup, garner the idea of changing protections to augment what they're already seeing in Houston that's stymieing. If you can do that, if you fix this issue, Houston's going to be looking at divisional round, championship game, possibly Super Bowl. They're that talented and they're playing that well right now. They just need to be complete. Not complete yet. That's the biggest thing. Be proactive. Go do that and change it up. And finally, sitting pretty, Minnesota. Watching the game on Sunday, I don't think Minnesota is infallible. There are some people in the media trying to say they're 4-0, you need to give Sam Darnold his flowers, they're too good. I don't think they're that. But offensively, they're a juggernaut, and defensively, they are doing so many coverage disguises, exotic blitzes, things of that nature, in which they're really confusing their opponents and putting them in holes. You're sitting pretty. Keep doing what you're doing. Sam Darnold is clearly playing well. I still saw signs of him being very flustered. Even in the first half, there were moments of him being flustered against Green Bay when they had a lead. So I don't think he's playing perfect football like some people are trying to tell you. However, he's still playing extremely good football. Now, he leads many passing categories. You can't say he's not playing really well. I just still see signs of the old Sam Darnold in terms of being flustered and being willing to make mistakes. Teams are going to start taking advantage of that. They're not going to stay undefeated. This is not, we're not talking 18-0 Patriots here, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a team that offensively has two phenomenal weapons, getting TJ Hawkinson back, and Aaron Jones has been great in the running game. But defensively is their goal. So you need to figure out those things, but you're sitting pretty. Keep doing everything that you're doing, and you're going to be successful. You're going to be a playoff team. You're going to be fun. Sit pretty, Minnesota. You're doing well. That is our game segment for this week. I'm going to take you to a quick break. After that, we're going to get to our game previews. Stay tuned.
That is a pretty good idea. Never thought about it like that. Interesting. Oh. Hello there. You caught me at time with my headphones on and listening to a podcast. But that means I'm having a great day because I'm listening to a podcast on Spotify. You know what's awesome about Spotify listening to a podcast is unlike YouTube, where screen goes dark and poof, all your sound is cut off. Spotify, you can take it anywhere. Just let it play and it'll play for you. Just like you can listen to all of these PT creative awesome podcasts on Spotify anytime you like, right on the go. Far Out Football Podcast Monday and Thursday, the ONETA Show every Tuesday, which is tremendous, and you may be listening to right now, maybe not, I'm not sure. Or even the Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast, which is a tremendous movie podcast, and I got so many recommendations from that podcast. God, they are just so smart over there, those boys. And the best part about it, when I'm listening to Spotify podcasts, man, I can just take it anywhere and I don't have to look at my phone. It's so good, it's even Dragon Sword approved. Go check out our podcast, PTE Creative, on Spotify right now. And give us a star rating when you can. Peace!
And we're back, folks. Thank you for listening to that message. I hope you enjoyed Quarter Life Crisis. But we have more games to pick. Let's get to it right here and now. Our first game is going to be the New York Jets playing the Minnesota Vikings. First London game. First UK game here. Minnesota's favored by 2.5. That is more than fair. Frankly, the way the Jets played last week, I know everyone's going to say rain, but they let up way too much pressures. They just weren't cohesive enough. To me, this is an easy pick. I'm picking Minnesota here. I'm not seeing that Jets vaunted defense coming to play here, and I'm also not seeing the cohesion on offense to make me think Aaron Rodgers is going to push them over the top. There hasn't been any true cohesion. They were getting there, and then last week it was just it. And everyone wants to throw it out. It's going to say, well, the rain. It's still no excuse for some of the things that they were doing. And some of the decision making, you're like, what? Why this personnel package? Why this play call? Why can we not get these guys involved? That wasn't all rain based. That was coaching basis and team cohesion. I'm going to pick Minnesota here. Maybe we can call it a Sam Darnold revenge game. Who the fuck knows? I just think always Minnesota's defense is going to come through. Plus, Justin Jefferson plays for the other. That one. Following up, we're going to go back stateside. Carolina is going to play Chicago. Chicago's favored by 4. I'm going to pick Chicago in this game. Here's my only hiccup. I think Chicago easily is more talented. Their defense is playing extremely good football. And offensively, you are starting to see consistent involvement from the wide receiver position. However, the rushing attack is still not there. Plus, Caleb Williams is still figuring out the NFL rhythm. Carolina, can they take advantage of that? I'm not sure. This is a classic kind of game, though, in which you could see young team, oh, this is perfect for them. You know, pieces are coming together. This is going to be the game. And then they fall on their face because these don't come through. That's my only concern here. I still think Chicago's going to take it through. I think it's going to be closer than people are going to expect, but I'm still going to take Chicago. Just never know about that ginger Andy Dalton. And those gingers, I tell you. So, I'm going to pick Chicago. Baltimore, favored by 2.5, going to Cincinnati. This is easy. I'm picking Baltimore. Cincinnati cannot defend the rush, and they cannot defend the pass. They can't defend. Their one option is Trey Hendrickson, go. All right, what are you going to call next play? Trey Hendrickson, go. It's all they can do defensively. That's not going to stop a Baltimore attack. That's finally figured out, hey, why don't we just give Derrick Henry the ball? And then Lamar can scramble. And then when everyone starts playing the rush, we'll just throw it over the top to Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. And Isaiah Likely. Who would have thought? A balanced attack could do that. And Cincinnati, their offense is countered really well by Baltimore. The underneath stuff and the mid-tier stuff is not going to go well against Baltimore. They have Roquan Smith really leading the charge over there. Kyle Hamilton patrolling over the top. You're seeing a few more exotic blitz packages coming out of Baltimore. And Matabike and crew over in Baltimore play way too well. So I'm picking Baltimore all day long. Easy with the points as well. I have no faith in Cincinnati. I think this is the Forkham game, where if Cincinnati goes to 1-4, it's over in the AFC. Forkham, if that works. Then we're going to go to Baltimore's opponent from last week. Buffalo, favored at 1.5, is going to Houston. This is a weird game. from the game segment you saw, Houston hasn't played complete. They played good football, but they haven't played complete. Buffalo is not the team to do that. But Buffalo also, it's being pointed out now, their wins are against teams that collectively are 2-10. So they weren't playing phenomenal opponents, right? But having said that, Houston is a young team. These teams tend to falter against quality quarterback. I'm not seeing Buffalo really eking it out. I really think it's close. I wouldn't even touch the point spread, especially with only half. I'm going to pick Buffalo because I think Josh Allen's going to kind of rise to the occasion for this kind of game. He usually does. If you watch First Things First, they're the biggest Josh Allen trackers, so to speak, in traditional media. They just had a really good stat track with Josh Allen where he literally is a roller coaster. He has bad game, he goes great game. Then he goes bad game, he goes great game. It's this all the time. He's due for a good game, but I don't think Josh Allen played horribly against Baltimore. I think just things got out of control and they couldn't answer the bell. I don't know if Houston's as talented as Baltimore when Baltimore coming, so I'm going to take Buffalo, but I'm not crazy about it. So that's a why. And then finally, we have Indianapolis going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is favored by 3. That's horseshit. I'm going to keep this very simple. I don't care if it's Joe Flacco's playing or Anthony Richardson. I think the Colts are a better team. Frankly, I don't think the Jaguars know what they're doing. Case in point, look at last week. They started to look like, oh my god, we could be good. And gave people hope. And then they just kicked everyone in the nuts. That's what they do. And it's been the show rule last couple weeks. I'm sticking to it. I'm not picking Jacksonville until they show me they can play good, consistent football. Until that time happens, I will not do it. Trevor Lawrence is still a liability. There's enough in Indianapolis to make that game close, competitive, and take over. That's what's good for Indianapolis. I'm taking Indianapolis. And let the fucking marks deal with it. And from the fucking marks, we're going to send you a quick break. And after that, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You trying to get your platform to grow? So am I. And I want to help you out. Let's help each other out. I'm trying a new thing on my podcast and all of my weekly content. I have content Monday through Saturday on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, all kinds of different platforms. And I want to help you grow as well. So now, if you like, comment, subscribe on this video, or follow wherever you may be, you may get a shout out in one of my next projects. That's what I'm going to try to do for you because you're small-time creators just like me, and I want us both to grow. So like, comment, subscribe for more, follow wherever you can. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and I'll try to help you out as well by giving you a shout out. Let's go do this together. Peace.
And we're back, folks. Thank you for listening to that message. We're going to get going to a game that is train wreck written all over it. Miami is going to New England, and New England is favored by 1. This is one of the classic, we think both teams are bad, so we're going to give it to the home team. If New England's going to get another win this year, I would assume it's going to be this Miami game when you have Snoop Huntley and the team's not in a good position. Just don't foresee that happening, though, because I think with practice, Tyler Huntley's good enough to at least launch 1 or 2 to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to just get them the ball and let them go, or to break one with Devin Achane. The thing is this could be a great game if you were going to pull the trigger in New England. Miami's not creating a lot of pressure, so it could be a good game to get Drake Mason exposed. That's the only thing I think is positive for New England. Still going to take Miami. I think they have too many quality parts to lose to New England. But you never know. I'm going to take Miami. Our record after last week bounce back is 36-28. This is one of those games I'm like, yeah. I'm just going to go with what I think is the better team. Kind of thing. But anyone who's not a Patriot or Dolphin fan watching this game, I don't know why. Unless you're professionally tasked with this kind of game. It's just straight up the truth. All right, from there, we're going to go Cleveland at Washington. Washington is favored by 3. It's easy. I'm sticking with Washington here. They're playing really good football offensively, scoring 30-plus points. Jaden Daniels is playing mistake-free football. Cleveland's defense in its current state, complemented with their offense, is not the defense that we saw last year. Okay? It's just not who they are, and they're not the team that's going to force a young quarterback to make mistakes right now. You need to get back to that somehow. I don't think this is the game. This could be the game, frankly, that you finally just go, fuck it. Pull the ripcord and say, Jameis, keep us competitive and let us play. Because Deshaun Watson, it's just not getting done. I know you paid him that much money. Eventually, you just got to... I told this to my mother-in-law once, where it was about football and life. Where there was some bickering going on back and forth, and I just said, sometimes you just got to take the L. When you've lost, you just need to accept that you've lost and move forward. Don't keep fighting for a lost cause. Don't keep fighting for something because you made a mistake. Don't double and triple and quadruple down on a mistake. Just kind of a general life conversation, and it morphed into football. Cleveland, you keep doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on this dumbass decision. Eventually, just eat the fucking money and say, we fucked up, but we can't keep doing this. Moving forward, Deshaun Watson isn't playing. That's simple. Okay? That's simple. You're going towards the top 10 pick right now, and you're a team that should at least be making a playoff push. That's not good enough. You need to get the fuck out of your own way. Put Jameis Winston in this game, and I think this game could be far more competitive. I'd still take Washington, but I'd call it more of a toss-up. I mean, this is definitive. Washington all the way. We're going to stay with some AFC drama here, and Las Vegas is going to Denver. Denver is favored by 2.5. I know Denver's looked better the last 2 weeks, but they're not good. Like, they eked bullshit out last week where they made a goal line stop can't pull out of their ass. They sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times. They took advantage of the fact that the weather was perfect for them. And their quarterback only threw 60 yards and they still won the fucking game. It's ridiculous. They're not good. They have 2 good players. That's it. Las Vegas, I know there's drama right now with Davante Adams. We're going to talk about that at the close of the show. But Las Vegas, their defense plays too well for me to think that they're going to lose to Denver. How is Denver going to put up points against Las Vegas' defense? I don't see it happening. And I don't think Las Vegas needs Davante Adams to put up 14 points. It would help, but I don't think they need 14 points. You said they need 24 to be like, that's a problem. But with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, a couple play-action plays, I think they could get 14 points, maybe 17. And that's all you need to beat Denver because Bo Nix can't play right now. So that's what we're seeing. And yeah, I'm picking Las Vegas. I don't understand. I think this is a home team spread, and people thinking, oh, Davante Adams, the whole team's going to blow up. I don't foresee it. I don't agree with that whatsoever. I'm going Las Vegas. We're going to stick West Coast, but we're going to the NFC West now. Arizona's going to San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 7.5. It's very easy. They're getting some of their players back. Debo's coming back to play. Who else? They just got another player back. I mean, I want Arizona to win because I love Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., and I have a soft spot for that team, but no. Super easy. Brock Purdy has played well enough to keep them competitive in these games when they were losing. Now they have Deebo Samuel back. They have a little bit more full complement on their offense. Come on. Just that's all you can say. It's come on. Would I love to see an upset? Sure. But do I foresee that happening? No. So I'm going with San Francisco with 7.5. And our final game before we take our last ad break of the show My home team, Green Bay Packers, favored by 3, are going to the LA Rams. I'm taking Green Bay in this one. Last week was a tale of two halves. Half number 1 was Jordan Love not feeling comfortable in his knee and making some poor decisions. The first interception was completely his fault. The second interception went off 2 sets of Packer hands and then into Minnesota. I'm not going to say it's his fault on that one. And he still drove them into field goal range twice and they missed 2 field goals. So anything that could go wrong in that first half last week did go wrong. The true Green Bay is in the second half of that game, where even if they weren't perfect, they were pushing the ball downfield, scoring points, overwhelming teams with their offensive firepower. That's Green Bay. That's who I think they are. The Rams, with Matthew Stafford's playing really, really well, especially with the pieces he has to play with, but I do not foresee a team that only has Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson as their 2 main targets right now to all of a sudden galvanize without a true defensive force to beat Green Bay now that Green Bay is starting to get fully. I don't foresee that happening. I'm taking Green Bay no matter what in this game. It's not even the homer pick. It's just the logic. One team has a full complement. The other team doesn't have half the people they need to win. It's simple. It sucks for the Rams, but that's the truth. So we're going Green Bay here. And after Green Bay, we're sending this quick ad break. Stay tuned for the last 3 games and some news and notes on Davante Adams. Stay tuned. Hey friends, I know you're enjoying this show, but we want to prime you for a new show. Go check out the weekly schedule over at PTE Creative and find your new favorite podcast or show to watch. Monday and Thursday, you get the Far Out Football podcast with news, analysis, and notes of the NFL season, plus great projects during the offseason like draft analysis and what-if questions like what if the NFL expanded. Tuesday, go to the ONETA Show for absurd takes and fun all around. The topics in entertainment, gaming, movies, television, you name it, ONETA Show is going to talk about it. Wednesday, you can go check out the Pokemon Bliss and Oblivion Project, in which new Pokemon are being designed every single week as we create the Halzari Fakemon region. Friday, it's kind of a fun, laid-back day over at PT Creative. You can go open some brand new Pokemon card packs, or get some new specials and seasonal content coming your way on a Friday. And finish your week out with the Wisco Movie Watchers podcast on Saturdays. Get great movie recommendations, learn some movie history, and just have a grand old time listening to some dialogue. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot of fun over on Saturdays, just like it is every single day over at PTE Creative. Go check out new podcasts, new content, new shows every single Monday through Saturday over at PTE Creative. Now enjoy the rest of your show. And we're back, folks. Thank you for listening to those messages. We're going to go Sunday night. Not necessarily Sunday night, but the afternoon kind of stuff going through. No doubleheader this week on Monday Night Football, which is great. But we're going to go New York Giants at Seattle. Seattle's favorite 6.5. I will be taking Seattle in this game. There's a reason I have put the New York Giants, I highlighted them in today's game on Quarter Life Crisis. It's really simple, man. Can't put points on the board consistently. And it's not going to beat Seattle. Okay? Seattle got beat by Detroit and they almost came back and won that game. Geno Smith was playing phenomenal football. Seattle's defense is getting feasted on by the strong, not the weak. Offensively, there's not enough right now in New York to say, well, they're going to take advantage of that Seattle defense. That's not the case. It's not logical. I would stay away from the points because Seattle doesn't have a tendency of putting teams away like they should. But they have a tendency to always win these games that they should. So I'm going to go Seattle. For the Giants, it comes down to, can you get the ball into Malik's hands and get a functional rushing attack that can at least put 2 touchdowns in. If you can get 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals, this is a game. If you can only reach the end zone once or not at all, and you can only get field goals, it's over. Done with. You're not going to beat Seattle, though. Sunday Night Football, Dallas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's favorite at 2.5. I'm picking Pittsburgh because I don't know. No, I'm kidding. I'm picking Pittsburgh because defensively they're playing way too well for me to think that Dallas with just CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and no rushing attack is going to beat them. And they're out Micah Parsons, or most likely out Micah Parsons. Marcus Lawrence, I don't think is effective without Micah Parsons, and I'm not sure he's even going to play. They could use Deron Bland back, but I don't think Deron Bland is the game changer that people like to talk about. They're just so depleted. Dallas is, honestly, if they stayed injured, Dallas could be a top 10 pick territory. That's how depleted their roster is outside of their really top heavy top 5, top 6. It's just how bad they are with no depth. And apparently Brandon Cooks is going to be out as well. Dallas should be calling anybody that they can for a wide receiver, but they're not going to take advantage of that because they can't afford him. Which is horseshit, by the way. But nonetheless, easy for Pittsburgh to take it. Their passing attack is starting to come to life. You're seeing Justin Fields develop a little bit more to what theoretically he could be. This is easy. Pittsburgh, 100%. And finally, we're going to do another easy game. It's New Orleans at Kansas City. Kansas City's favorite 5.5. I am taking Kansas City in this game. Consistency-wise, you want to see, well, they have no wide receiver depth right now. It's Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, nothing else. Yeah. But New Orleans has shown that they can't protect their quarterback the last 2 weeks. They can't consistently push the ball downfield. Kansas City does not allow big plays. They allow medium plays. They don't allow big plays. That's the hope and prayer of the New Orleans offense, is the bomb, the big downfield passing attack. You're not going to get that against Kansas City. So immediately, your team's going to be stymied on that part. Then you have Patrick Mahomes with Xavier Worthy at least able to go over the top and work intermediate with Travis Kelce. I think they can still put up 20-plus points to win this game. I wouldn't take the points here because Kansas City hasn't shown that they're the juggernaut offensively that they should or could be. But I'm still taking Kansas City all the way. That is every single game from week 5 to talk about. But we're going to end the show with some quick Davante Adams stuff. It's a mini game, if you will. Everyone's going to be talking to you about where Davante Adams should go. I'll get in for funsies. I've included salary cap numbers in this, and I've thrown 2 off-the-wall picks. I'm going to give you 2 honorable mentions at the end of teams that should get involved in the Davante Adams conversation, but the top 3 teams that really should. Cap-wise, New York Jets have $17.06 million in cap. They can afford Davante Adams right now. That shouldn't be a question. Aaron hasn't felt comfortable with anyone except Allen Lazard on the Jets offense. It's a problem. Bet everything on Aaron Rodgers. You need to make Aaron Rodgers successful. Ergo, you need to get the best pieces around him that are going to do that. That's Davante Adams. So, number 1, obviously, is the Jets. Second team here with $13.72 million in cap right now, according to SpotRack, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh really could use another veteran presence at the wide receiver position. George Pickens is an inconsistent player. He's up and down. He'll score a big touchdown, and then he'll disappear. Then he'll score another big touchdown, and he'll disappear. Davante Adams has never, ever been that since his second year on, really. He is a consistent contributor all the time. That's what Davante Adams does. With that consistency, you could give Justin Fields the ultimate, fuck it, throw it to Davante, and it'll work, option, and then make George Pickens available for more deep shot threat. That could really bring another dimension to Pittsburgh and really bring them over to the top offensively. Pittsburgh should be talking to Las Vegas about it. And the third team, it's starting to get hot in the discussions for this one. Washington, $26.24 million in cap. This, to me, is a proactive move. You have Terry McLaurin really looking to be the best contributor he's been in almost all of his career because he finally has a quarterback that consistently gets him the ball. Imagine the threat of Terry McLaurin and Davante Adams. Davante Adams magically takes the double coverage. Terry McLaurin one-on-one all the time is an awesome gift to be given and immediately brings more and more depth and layers to your offense and brings even more wide rushing lanes, I should say, to your team. It's just obvious. They have the cap room to do it. Go take this over the top. and just go punch Philadelphia and Dallas in the face and say, fuck both of you. This is our division now. Going to get Davante Adams does that. Go do that, Washington. And 2 off-the-wall picks, teams that, they're fun to talk about and they might get brought up occasionally. One specifically. One off-the-wall pick. It's going to sound homerish, but I think it's logical for Davante Adams. It's Green Bay. $15.13 million in cap. You can afford Davante Adams right now, or you could wait 2 weeks and then really make it work. With Green Bay specifically, you have a team that knows the offense, knows the area, knows the building, personnel. He knows half the team already. He didn't really have a problem with teammates and coaching. His issue was the expediency of his contract with the front office. Now he's already gotten paid. You are seeing Christian Watson just went down with a high ankle sprain. Fortunately, due to Christian Watson's injury history, which is something I talked about going back to our expansion draft over the summer, he does not heal very quickly or very well, and it's always a shame. It sucks because Jordan put him in that spot this week, but you're assuming you're not going to have Christian Watson for another 3 to 4 weeks. This team's really going Jaden Reed first, but imagine Davante Adams to really test that and give Jordan Love that other reliable option. Because his most reliable option when he's in duress is always Romeo Doubs. Imagine Davante Adams, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. Give those guys, even if it's just the rental, go make the push and say, we're going to go win a Super Bowl. That's what you do. So I think Green Bay is a very logical option if Davante Adams is serious about wanting the Super Bowl. And finally, another off-the-wall team that I think really could use a push here, with $23.69 million in cap, it's the Arizona Cardinals. Davante wants to go to the Jets or the Saints. He wants to play with people he's familiar with, which I understand. That's another reason I put Green Bay into this conversation. He's used to all that. But you can get paid. They don't have another receiver to pay, so you could get another contract. And you'd be hooked up with a young quarterback with a good receiving group already with a decent offensive line that could make a playoff push. And you could stay there for a couple of years. It's not that far removed from Vegas down to Phoenix. Still West Coast, which is something he really wanted, especially closer to his family. And you get attached to a young, up-and-coming contender as opposed to a we're all in now and then we're going to lose contender, which both the Jets and the Saints have been now. Jets have said it's all Aaron Rodgers. They don't have a plan past Aaron Rodgers. And the Saints, they don't have a plan past this year because their salary cap does not allow it. So you've got to figure out those kinds of things. I would go Arizona. It's a logical option for him. Get paid, stay close to family, get used to a receiving core where he doesn't have to do everything by himself. I think it's a similar situation to Vegas without any of the headaches that Vegas has already created for him. Why not? So I go Arizona. But those are my top 5. I really give you top 3 with honorable mentions, but it's really top 5, if I'm being honest. Teams that I think Davante Adams should consider going to, should get involved in this trade conversation. Dallas would be on my list, but they just think they can't afford anyone because the oil baron fucking Jerry Jones is too poor and can't afford them. Go fuck yourself with that one, Jerry. So, no. But that is going to do it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy week 5. Enjoy everything you can. Check out our socials. Check out the rest of our content. As always,